Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fuse Control podcast. My name is Joe Martin, and today's guest is the inspirational Mr. Clinton Terry. Hello,
Like I have
Clinton.
my sidekick. How are
Yeah,
you? So
yeah.
technically, but he's working with a blind person.
No problem at all. How have you been? Are you in lockdown at
Oh,
the minute?
yeah. So we got put in lockdown really early, which was good for us because it means I think we're going to get out of it a lot quicker than what other people are. I mean, we went into lockdown when there were only, I think, well, they already started talking about lockdown when there were only like 6 cases here. I think by the time we went into full lockdown, there were 30 cases. Now we're up to about 1,130 cases. And we're lucky we've only had one death. And that was kind of a mishap because the lady was really well known by the hospital that she was dealing with. And you know, at this time of year, she usually gets the flu and stuff. So when she went in there, because there weren't that many cases, that there was a bit of a mix-up. So it
Yeah.
was a bit.
So, in terms of lockdown, is everyone kind of having to stay at home, and are you allowed to go to the shops and whatnot?
Well, there's nothing. Only what they're calling essential services is open. So our supermarkets are open, but they only let a certain amount of people in at a time. And there's 2 meters distancing and stuff. The
Yeah,
pharmacies are open, but pretty much everything, like even like greengrocers and butchers and stuff like that, that's all
yeah,
shut down because they want to keep as well. They want to have as little contact as possible. And I mean, on it's Thursday here today. On Tuesday, Monday, Sunday or Monday, we had like 89 new cases, and then today we're down to only 29 new cases. So what we're doing seems to be working.
yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what they've done here in the UK, kind of just lock down completely. But the problem is people don't stick to the rules. So it's like, how do you police, people staying indoors? Because
Well, I mean, because we've got a national state of emergency here, there are a lot of powers that the government have, which they don't usually have. People are being, I mean, for the first 2 weeks, because we're in the second week of full lockdown now, the police were like warning people and educating them, like, you should be inside, you're endangering people, stuff like that. Now the police have started to prosecute people and they're actively giving them fines and stuff. And unfortunately, it's not very common, but we've had a few instances here of people being really disgusting and stuff and spitting on police or essential workers and stuff. Someone in New Zealand today just got 3 months prison time for spitting on a police officer and saying they had COVID-19. So,
yeah, dude,
and
yeah,
in my opinion, that's awesome because our essential workers in New Zealand, they're working so hard to keep everybody fed and looked after and
yeah.
stuff, and
The,
to
the,
have people
the
betting
population
on.
in New Zealand isn't it's quite a small population, isn't it, in New Zealand?
Yeah, we're only at about 4.7 million, or not so much. So um, I guess it's a lot easier to control and enforce. And we're lucky that we've got a good like welfare system, and that our government worked really fast. So straight away, they announced the employment package where straight away businesses were given money to keep paying their staff a certain amount of money, so they had assistance to do that while we're in lockdown. And I mean, it does suck because we are going to lose businesses and people are going to lose jobs and stuff here, but at least our government did what they could to try and ease people's financial struggle during
Right.
this time.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Clinton. It's a real pleasure because you're an incredible, inspirational person. So thank you very much for that. If it's all right with you, bro, I just want to kind of a deep dive into your story, into your whole BJJ journey. Sounds a fascinating journey. It really does. So first of all, where are you actually from in New Zealand?
So I'm actually from all over the place. Originally, I don't usually tell people this, but I was actually born in Australia. My parents are both Kiwis and they were over there working. So I was actually born in Australia. I came back here when I was about 18 months old. And then my mum's sort of a gypsy spirit. So I've moved all around the North Island. But when I met my wife and, just after we got together and we had our son, we moved up to Auckland and I've been up here I've been in Auckland for the last 17 years. Partly because her family was here in Auckland and partly because it was the best place to get training.
Yes. Right.
At that stage, I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu, I was wrestling.
So it started off wrestling. You started
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so I lived in a small town I actually started in grappling pretty late in life. Like, unfortunately, I wish I'd started a lot earlier. I was living in a small town called Featherston, which is almost at the bottom of our North Island. And there were, I think maybe there's 1,500 people live there or something. It's not very big. And I was 18 or 17 going on 18 and there wasn't really much to do. And my brother was a lot younger than me. He was about 9 at the time. And I had a caravan. I stayed outside and, didn't really, I don't know, not really spend a lot of time with my 9-year-old brother, but he came and started hammering on my door one night and he was like, "Oh, Clinton, I found this wrestling club." And I thought he meant WWE. So I was like, "Man, go away, bugger off."
Yeah.
He kept knocking on the door. "Come on, no, seriously, it's really awesome. Come and have a look." And my mom was like, "Oh, Clinton, go with him just to, give me some peace or whatever." So I went down the road and I was like, "Oh, okay." And we joined in a training and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing," because here's a sport. I mean, I've tried a lot of different sports. Like growing up, I always wanted to do sport. I've been very active. And, but a lot of those sports didn't work. Like I tried playing soccer, for example, and people would kick the ball one way and I'd run in the other direction, like.
Yeah.
So I went to this wrestling club and went into this wrestling club and I was like, "Oh my God, here's a sport where I get to pretty much play fight with people and they have to be touching me to be able to do anything to me." So, and I just fell in love with the idea of grappling.
It really is incredible. So how old were you when you got into wrestling then?
So I was 17 going on 18 when I started that. And when I started, I wasn't very good. I started training and I was like, "This is awesome." And then some of the guys were like, "Oh, we're going to go to a tournament." And it was about a 6-hour drive away. "Do you want to come and do the tournament?" I was like, "Yeah, this will be awesome." And I went and did it. And I went out for my first match and I got pinned in 30 seconds. And I was like, "Man, that was cool. I've got to do this again."
Yeah. You kind of got addicted to the process straight away. Even if you weren't winning, you were still getting involved actively, trying to better yourself.
Yeah, partly that. And I think my wife is right. My wife says I do this because I'm an adrenaline junkie. And there's just nothing like the feeling of, knowing that you're going to step on the mat and other than doing a striking martial art where someone would be allowed to hit you, like stepping on a mat where someone's going to try and hurt you and, only one of you is going to walk off the winner. There's just such a rush in that, right? Like it's such a crazy feeling.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, forgive me, like I don't want to come across rude and actually, but like with your sight and stuff, were you wrestling people with sight or at the start?
Yes. So, first of all, there is no rude questions, like especially when it comes to my sight. I always say to people, "Man, just ask me what you want," because without asking, you don't know the answers. And I never get offended. It's funny, like, I'll go to a supermarket or whatever, and little kids will come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh, excuse me, what's wrong with your eyes?" And their parents will be like, "Hey, shh, no, don't ask him that." And I always say to the parents, "No, it's okay. Like, your kid, first of all, your kid has awesome manners. That's awesome. And second of all, if they don't ask, how do they know?" So, even out in public, if people have questions about my side or whatever, man, I'm more than happy to answer.
That's an awesome perspective because I know a lot of people that probably wouldn't react in the same way.
I don't know. Like most blind people anyway that I've had interaction with, as long as you're polite about it, they're not going to mind being educated. I mean, I was bullied a lot at school when I was younger. And I think a lot of that was because I went to a small country school where, I was the odd person out, and they had no knowledge about what it was. So their natural reaction was to bully. So I think educating people is super smart.
Sure.
And, I've got a problem with that. As for the question, I've only ever competed against able-bodied people. I was asked at one stage to trial for Paralympic judo once I started getting a bit more well-known and once I started getting some results. But it's never really interested me. I know there's a place for the Paralympics, but unfortunately for me, I like to try and be the best at what I do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and I know as a blind person, this sounds really harsh, and in some ways I feel bad saying it, but at the end of the day, the Paralympics is second best. And I know it's a division, right? But I had this argument with the Paralympic people, and I said to them, well, if blind people were good enough to qualify for the actual Olympics in judo, they would do it. They would qualify and they would go and compete in the real Olympics. The problem is that because of whatever their reasoning is, and some of that reasoning might be that they've been told they can't compete at the actual Olympics. And so they've gone to the Paralympics. Now, I'm not saying there's not a place for the Paralympics. It just has never interested me. I'd just rather test myself against everybody, and so I've just competed against able-bodied people all through my wrestling career, all through my jiu-jitsu career, and I've found ways around it. I mean, jiu-jitsu tournaments, they're kind of cool, right? Because when I went there the first time internationally to the US, they asked me whether I wanted to start with grips or, like they do in Paralympic judo. And I told them, no, I don't want to do that, because there was two reasons for that. One, I enter in able-bodied tournaments knowing that I'm going to compete against able-bodied people. So in my opinion, it's my job to come up with solutions to any issues that gives me.
Right.
Two, I was like, when the official asked me afterwards, why didn't you take up the offer? I said, well, how unfair would that been to the guy that I was fighting? Like, he's trained so hard for this competition, whatever. He's got a game plan, got the way and then he steps on the mat and he's like, oh, and by the way, you're fighting a blind guy, so you have to start with grips. Like,
right.
That's up his game. So I'm like, I don't want to sure, okay, maybe if he got told 4 weeks before, like, okay, you're going to be fighting a blind guy and you're going to be starting with grips, okay, that's maybe, but I don't want to just throw someone in and then if I beat them, they're like, oh, well, I got thrown off my game or whatever. I don't want to win like that.
Yeah, dude, for sure. It's funny because I had a podcast with I did a podcast with Joey Carter yesterday, and he's a black belt from Connecticut, US, and he was saying how as he progressed through the belt system, he trained with a blindfold on because he was able to feel where he wanted to go, if that makes sense. Like he could sense what the person was trying to do.
Yeah, and that does make a lot of sense to me, but I will throw in something here because this does irritate me sometimes on my social media. Like, I'll put up videos of me winning or competing, or because I don't just put up videos of me winning, I also put up videos of me losing, because to be honest, I don't care like what people think. I don't do jiu-jitsu to impress you. So if people want to be like, oh, you lost the match, well, unless you're like, what, maybe in the, not even the 1%, in the 0.1%, there are not many people out there that haven't lost. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm okay with losing. I hate losing, like, personally, but I'm okay with people knowing it's fine. But people will put comments like that, oh yeah, I roll blindfolded all the time or whatever, and they, I don't know, try to make it sound like what I don't know, what I'm doing is easy or whatever. And it's not to say that what I'm doing is hard, because I actually agree that the rolling part is the easiest part of doing jiu-jitsu blindfold, like blind, right? Like rolling blindfolded, fine. Anybody can do that. And so long as you have a little bit of jiu-jitsu experience, you're actually not going to do too badly at it. Sure, you might have some disadvantage or whatever, but you're still going to be able to spar. But my challenge to people out there that want to put comments like that on my social media is, okay, so you can roll blindfolded. Yeah, that's impressive and awesome. How about you start at home, you put a blindfold on, you pack all your you get yourself to training from your house, you get into the gym, do all the warm up and everything,
The
do
behind
the
the
whole
scenes.
class with no sight. Like, don't be able to see what the coach is showing. Don't, do all your rolling, get yourself home again, and then tell me that you did what I do blindfolded. Because as I said, the rolling part is the easy part. It's the get through training, the learning the technique when you can't see what's going on. It's the everything else that's hard in jiu-jitsu, not the rolling. The rolling
That's
is
so
the
true,
easy
man.
part
Yeah.
blindfolded.
For sure. It's funny now you say that. You kind of forget the behind the scenes, the logistics of day-to-day life.
Even being at the gym, like, blindfold yourself and go to the gym, and then put your bag somewhere, and then try to find your bag and your drink bottle and stuff. Like, I have to be super organized at the gym. Like, I have a spot. Well, when I move around my gym, people medical people say that my site is like looking through 4 layers of the bubble wrap that you use to wrap fragile objects when you post them. That's what they reckon my video is like. So I can track movement of a person when they're moving, but I can't see any detail. Like, I can't see what their hands and feet are doing or anything like that. So if I'm not super organized at training, like if I just go into training and put my bag down, I won't be able to find it again without asking someone where my bag is.
Yeah.
So even at training, like, I keep my stuff in the exact same place all the time. My bag is organized in the exact same way all the time, so that when I go to my bag, I know exactly where my drink bottle is, and I'm not being slow and holding up my training partners and stuff like that. Here's another fun one, because I saw he competed against a guy. I've talked to him on Facebook before. Not the guy who did it, but the guy who he competed against. And Fight to Win, Mikey Sanchez, the blue belt, he's blind as well, and he competed against the guy there who blindfolded himself for the competition. First of all, if someone blindfolded themselves to compete against me, I'd actually be insulted. But I'm like, well, it's all good and well that you got on the mat and you competed against Mikey blindfolded. How about you wear the blindfold from the point when you get to the venue? Like, man, I have to have such a good memory when I get to the venue, because I don't want to have a teammate stuck to me for the whole tournament, right? Because my teammates are also competing, doing whatever they're doing. So when they take me and show me where the bathroom is, I've got to remember where that is first time. Like, people don't understand. Like, at tournaments, it's things like that that are tough. Like, getting out on the mat and fighting, that's the easy bit. It's the
easy part.
Getting around the venue. It's the finding where my mat is. It's the finding where the bath. Because I'm a nervous peer, man. Like, when I'm competing, I go to the bathroom like 20, 30 times a day. It's hard to remember where that bathroom is, so I'm going to have a problem.
Wow, dude, that's just, it really is crazy. So in terms of actually learning the martial arts and that sort of thing, how did you actually go about doing that? Because for me, when I look at the details of my trainer, I kind of think to myself, how on earth is he doing that? And that's being able to see all the details, everything he does with his body, all the all the movements he does with his feet, his hands, What advice would you give someone who was looking to start like training?
Basically, with my level of sight or less, there's basically only one way to do it, and that's to have the person do it on you. And I've actually been thinking about doing a video because I get Instagram messages maybe once a month, once every couple of months. Like, I've got a new jiu-jitsu student starting. What sort of recommendations would you give me? Blah blah blah. So I've actually been thinking about making it, because I've been thinking about this myself. Because I've been doing it for so long now, but I kind of forget what I did at the beginning.
Right.
But as for learning technique from my side or less, there's only one way you can do it, and that's to have someone demonstrate it on you. So, and you've got to remember that when I started, when most blind people start, when they come in, you get a white belt who comes in and they're not very body aware, right? And they've got to
Right.
learn how to move their bodies and stuff. For blind people, well, for 90% of blind people, that's going to be 100 times worse. Well, I've actually coached a blind kid. He came to me when he was 15. He had never done really any physical activity. He was completely blind, so no light perception or anything. And, you know, even like, man, teaching that kid how to do a forward roll was crazy because
Yeah.
there was just no way to guide him through it. Like, I couldn't do a forward roll on him. He couldn't really touch me while I was doing the forward roll. And you can't really so that was a real challenge, even just to teach him how to, you know, to do forward rolls, how to do shrimping, how to do, you know,
Cool.
that sort of thing is going to take a lot longer for a white belt visually impaired person that has never done any sort of sport before to even understand what you're saying about moving your body.
Right.
So
Yeah.
really, if you're going to be coaching a new white belt blind person, you've got to realize that they're going to be very time intensive. Zaid actually ended up moving to our HQ gym because I coach at a affiliate of our gym. He moved to our HQ gym because at my gym, because we're new, you know, I have mainly white belts. I've got 3 blue belts and I've got a purple belt that train me. But the problem is the white belts are all beginning as well, right? So they having trouble explaining what's going on. So basically what you've got to do if you have a brand new white belt visual impaired person with very significant vision loss, you've got to have your high belts be prepared to take turns, basically giving him one-on-one instruction through the class or her.
Right.
You know, you've got to put them with a high belt that knows what they're doing so that they can demonstrate the technique on and guide them through it again and again and again. Because for me now, like, I'm a brown belt, so I get shown something or my coach does it on me, and 1 or 2 times, 99% of the time, I understand what he's saying and doing.
Yeah.
But at white belt, I mean, it's hard enough even when you can see, right? So it is going to be very time intensive, white to blue belt to, you know, because they've got to understand and they've got to feel everything that you're doing.
Yes.
So it's the other way to teach.
So how long did it take you to get to brown belt? Because say around 10 years for black belt normally. So
I'm a freak. I got my brown belt in 5 years.
Wow. That's insane. Yeah.
But you've got to remember, I wrestled for 15 years before I did jiu-jitsu. So I didn't go into jiu-jitsu with no body awareness or anything like that.
Makes sense.
I'd already been, you know, I'd already been a 10-time national wrestling champ. I'd already competed internationally for wrestling. I won the Oceania champs 3 times. I was the first blind person to go to the well, it was Fairland in 2013, but now it's United World Wrestling. I was the first blind person to compete at the World Wrestling Championships. I'm the only blind athlete to ever have competed at the Wrestling World Champs. So you got to remember that I was already, you know, a good level athlete when I started doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't the same for me as it was for other people.
Sure. Right. Okay. And obviously, you have competed a lot all over New Zealand. I can see that you've in 2019 you got 2. What was it? Para-American and
no. So
World
I got
Masters.
silver. So I got silver at the Pan Americans and I got bronze at the World Masters. Yeah.
Bronze at the. Wow. So the World Masters. Talk to me about that, because. Was that the whole?
So it's the IBJJF World Masters. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it might be the biggest IBJJF tournament of the year because, you know, they have all the Masters age divisions and they have all the belt divisions in there. I believe last year there were 4,500 athletes there or something like that. I fought in the lightweight Master 2 purple belt division. There were 47 athletes in my division and I got bronze. Unfortunately, I lost in the semi-final to the guy who had actually beaten me the year before. Eduardo Cruz, we're kind of friends now as well, even though I want to beat him real bad off the mat where friendly. So he's from Brazil, and so he beat me. But yeah, I had a good tournament. I was lucky. I got the bye in the first round. I won my first fight 10-0 submission. I won my second fight 2-2 rest decision. The third fight I won 2-0, and then the final I lost 6-0. I mean the semi-final, which was the bronze medal match, I lost 6-0, which has been unfortunate.
Wow.
But you know,
awesome.
I've been wanting a world medal for a long time, so, and it was a bit hard for me, that semi-final, because I've been wanting a world medal for so long. And my daughter was there. It was so cool because the one thing that I do have help with, and it's pretty cool, is they let somebody go inside the bullpen with me at tournaments just so that I can get to the mat and stuff. So my daughter was at the comp, so she was the one to take me to the mat and stuff. And I got through the first 3 fights, and I came off the mat, and I gave her a big hug, and she's like, "Oh," and I'm like crying, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I just won a world medal," and she was like so happy.
Oh my
for
God.
me. And we got back to the bullpen, and everybody starts leaving, and I was like, "What's going on? I'm in the semi-finals. Like, I've got to fight again." And I was all amped up and ready to go. And they were like, "Oh, they've got the 8-man Grand Prix on." So they had an 8-man Grand Prix with like, you know, with all the, like, a lot of famous guys and stuff. And we're shutting everything down for 2 hours. So I had to go off and sit around for 2 hours and whatever. And, you know, in that time, my mind was like, well, I've already won a medal. I'm quite good with that. And I don't know, I just didn't get as amped up for, it was a bit unfortunate, but well, I want to go back and upgrade my medal.
And was it that? Congratulations to that. So was it there you met Hoyler Gracie? I saw on your Instagram you bumped into him.
Yes, possibly. I've met a lot of famous people everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yes, it was actually the year before I met Hoyler. And I didn't really get to talk to him. I just, you know, "Oh, Hoyler Gracie, get a photo." That's it. But yeah, it was actually the year before that happened.
Right.
I've met quite a few cool people. Some of the famous guys at those tournaments, like if you stop and talk to them, that, you know, they'll like, man, I talked to Cyborg that year as well, and he sat down and had a 45-minute conversation with me.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah.
And then, like, you know, I met Bushesha as well, and he's like, "Yeah, take a photo," and then he's like going talking to people. So
yeah,
you know,
so you're quite well known, really, then in the jiu-jitsu space. Would you say?
It's funny. I think I'm actually more well known than I think I am. I didn't realize how well known I was until, like, I was at Pan Am's, for example, at the beginning of last year, and I had people coming up to me that were running booths, and they're like, "Oh, you're the blind grappler. Can we get a photo?" And you know, I've been going to Worlds since my first World Champs was 2016. I went to the adult Worlds, and so I've been competing at Worlds, and you know, I'm usually that guy, like, go up and take photos of famous people, whatever, because it's kind of cool. Yeah. And you know, in the last year and a half, you know, it's kind of weird that I'm becoming that guy where people are coming up and asking me, "Oh, can I take photos of you? Can I take photos of you?"
Yeah.
And I'm always like, "Oh my gosh, why?" Like, I'm me, like, but I don't mind people asking me, but I'm always just like, so surprised. Like, I'm just Clinton, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it's to do with the fact that you refuse to let your blindness get in the way. You want to fight the best people, and that's inspirational, man. Like, a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm starting to see. Well, all through wrestling, people would say things like that to me, because, you know, when I started wrestling, I sucked at wrestling. It's quite well documented that I lost my first 40 matches. Like, I got smashed all the time, and you know, people didn't take me very seriously here until I met my mentor Koji Hirabashi, and I traded him English lessons for extra wrestling lessons, and he got me up to winning. He got me up to winning medals, and you know, I started wrestling in '99, at the end of '99, in 2007. That's how long it took me to win a national title. In 2007, I won a national title. And, you know, I wasn't naturally good, and I was just stubborn and wanted to do well. Like, part of it was that I wanted to prove people wrong back at the beginning. But most of it was for me because I've always been a goal setter, and I've always set huge, impossible tasks for myself. And I just, like, you know, I wasn't even meant to compete in jiu-jitsu. I was meant to retire from wrestling, and I was meant to be done with competing. And then they convinced me to do, well, I actually did a couple of jiu-jitsu comps at the end of my wrestling career before I even started jiu-jitsu. And it was kind of fun. And then I started doing some jiu-jitsu because I was helping a girl with anti-grappling for an MMA fight. And so I started training at Tukaha Jiu-Jitsu, and I was like, it's the comps are kind of fun. You know what? I'll see if I can win a national title in a second sport. And it wasn't until I won my first jiu-jitsu national title, I was like, you know what? As a blind person, what I'm doing is a bit crazy and a bit out there. So that's when I kind of started to understand. But still, even now, you know, like, well, I set my goal like, okay, now I want to be a world medalist and all of that. And I just keep pushing my goals. And then things like, you know, you have 10,000 Instagram followers, you have people coming up and taking photos. But my mind, I'm still just Clinton. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it was funny when I won, because I've been telling people for a while that I want to do well at the Worlds. And then I believe in what Tony Robbins says about if you have a goal, you know, put it out there. Like, tell people. When I started telling everybody that I was going to win a world medal, it wasn't because I was arrogant or because I thought I was better than everybody else. It was because when I told people I had to do that I was going to do that, suddenly now everybody's like, so when are you going to win your world medal?
Yeah.
And it keeps you right, and it makes you train harder. And when I finally won the world medal, because I started saying about 3 years before I won it that I was going to win, and I hadn't even won a match at the Worlds at that stage. And when I won, I was like, I pictured that every morning and every night for like
That's
3
awesome.
years. I pictured winning that world medal, and like I'd get emotional about it, like, oh man, it's good. And then it finally happened, and when I was standing up on the, like, honestly, when I thought I was going to be like crying and stuff when I was on the podium and that, because it was so awesome. But to be honest, when I got up there, I just felt relief. Like, oh man, what I told everybody I was going to do.
You
like,
set your expectations so high, not just for everyone else, but for yourself though as well.
Yeah. So it was funny. I felt like, man, whenever I thought about winning my world medal, I had a hole, and it was like right under my ribs, and I could feel it. It was just like this hole that just needed to be filled up. And after I won it, I don't know, the relief and then just that hole went away. So, like, I tell people now, like, I told people that if I won the world medal, I didn't know whether I'd keep competing or not. I said, I'm not sure whether I'll still have the drive to compete after I win a medal, but I do still have the drive to compete. But now I'm enjoying competing a lot more because, for me now, everything's icing on the cake, man. I ate this really delicious cake. I set myself a big goal. I ate the cake, and now everything's just adding delicious icing on the top. Like, yeah, sure, upgrading my medal would be cool. Going and being a world champion would be cool. But man, I'm the blind guy who wasn't supposed to be able to even win a national title at wrestling, and now I'm a world medalist. Like,
Right. Yeah.
that's crazy.
Fuck, man, it's fucking sick. So, you have a new film, Clinton.
The short film.
The short film, yeah, Stubborn.
Yeah, Stubborn the Blind Grappler. Yeah, so we did that. Project at the beginning of last year, just before I went to Pan Am's, and they were meant to get it. It was actually, the reason they did that short film was because what they wanted to do was get funding to do like a big documentary, like a Road to the World Champs, and they wanted to follow me around, and they wanted to come over to the Worlds and video all that. But I don't know, the team they did it all for free, and I think there was a bit of I don't know, conflict and stuff in the team. So it took them a bit longer to get it out. So they finally got it out, and now they were just in the process of getting a deal maybe to do that for this year's World Champs, and then of course coronavirus hit, and somehow
Yeah.
I don't think World Masters is going to be on this year because America looks like they're struggling. And,
Right.
I really don't.
Oh, so is it still pending at the minute then?
Well, they've said they've cancelled everything until, I don't know when IBJJ said they've cancelled everything until, but they've cancelled it definitely until June. But World Masters is the end of August.
Right.
I seriously doubt they're going to be okay to run it at the end of August.
Makes sense.
I mean,
right.
they've got, US has something like, they have 425,000 cases of COVID-19 today. So I really don't think they're going to overcome it by August.
But I did watch the trailer when we put it out on your Instagram, and it sounded really interesting, talking about how wrestling changed your life.
Which one did you watch? Because I've actually put the whole film on there. Because the whole film is only 6 minutes 50. It's only a short film. So,
okay. The one I watched was 45 seconds.
Okay, yeah. So the whole the actual whole thing I put up on my Instagram.
Okay.
So the whole thing now on Instagram TV. So if anybody wants to watch that, they can go on my Instagram, which is Blind Grappler, and it's somewhere down there.
Yeah. And you just click on the series button and it'll be there?
Yeah, it should be there, yeah.
Awesome. So obviously with COVID-19 in the lockdown in New Zealand, what are you doing to keep yourself active? Are you conditioning still, or are you stretching? What's your
so I'm trying to train. I'm trying to train every day. As I said, I teach kids, and I mean that's another whole thing because I don't even know how I do that. But I teach kids and adults, and the reason I say I don't know how to do that is because, first of all, with my level of sight, I shouldn't be able to do it. Second of all, I'm not just teaching kids. Like, we just had the Oceania champs here in February, just before the COVID-19, the SJJF Oceania champs. And I had a team of kids go there, and we got, I think, something like 13 gold, 5 silver, and 3 bronze. So not only am I coaching, but my team are actually doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So I try to do some online stuff for them, because not so much because, I see things like, gyms, they want to keep these and stuff going. But to me, man, if people can help with that, then awesome. If they can't because their family is struggling, man, look after your family first. But the reason I put up the live stream stuff, anybody that's a part of my team can go onto the group page and watch it. Mainly I do it to try and help the kids, the parents with their kids, man, because a lot of these kids that come to my class, they're athletes, they energetic, they train, right? And sitting around at home, I'm struggling with that, and I'm an adult. I would hate to think what it's like for kids who are super active to be stuck at home and not be allowed to go do anything. So I try to do that. I'm super lucky that my daughter trains as well. She's 13 now, and she's big enough that we can actually train together pretty good. I don't know what you guys can see here, but I'm sitting on I'm in my sort of home gym area.
Yeah, I can see behind you. Is it your mats?
Yes, they're just up on the wall so that we don't put our feet through the walls when we're sparring, because my wife would kill me if we did that. And then this one here, there's a bookcase behind there, and I don't really want to cut one of our heads open. Yeah. So unfortunately, we've only got a 2x2 meter mat, but we've even been able to do some light sparring. Usually it's just pass or sweep or whatever, and obviously about 60%, but we try to get some drilling and some sparring in every day. Because I don't want to lose my jiu-jitsu, and my daughter also has big goals in jiu-jitsu. She wants to be a black belt world champion, and she's very aware that to be a black belt world champion, she can't stop training because of the lockdown. Right.
So, in terms of your daily routine, then, do you get up early to train still, or is it kind of just a bit relaxed at the minute?
No, it's quite relaxed at the moment. Usually, when I'm when we're not in lockdown, my average day, I spend about 5 hours a day on the mat between coaching and my own training. And then, so that's 5 days a week. And then in the weekends, I usually do one session a day. So 2 hours on Saturday and 2 hours on Sunday. I don't really have a rest day. I just up and down my intensity depending on how my body's feeling.
Yeah.
At the moment here, because Aurora, you know, we've got to keep home peace as well. So although she understands that she has to train and all of that, and she is good about it because she trains every day, you know, I'm a lot bigger than her, and I am a brown belt, and you know, so sometimes she gets irritated with me when we train. So we're not training twice a day because I don't want her to just be like, oh, I'm not going to train until this is over.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a night person. If I'm awake during the day, I want to go out and do stuff. So I try and sleep reasonably late at the moment.
Yeah.
So I sleep until about 11 a.m. And then I get up and I eat. I read a book, watch YouTube, well, listen to analysis videos on YouTube. If I look at my iPad really close, I can see large detail stuff. I miss the small details of where the hands and stuff are going, but I just hope that the people that I'm watching the videos of are good at explaining stuff. If they're not, I just skip their videos. There are some people that are better than others. And I like, when I'm in the US, I usually train at Brea Jiu-Jitsu with Dan Lukart. And he's one of the, in my opinion, one of the best analysts in the game. And at the moment, he's doing a lot of breakdown videos and stuff. And I really like listening to his jiu-jitsu strategy and things like that.
Right.
So do study like that. Trying to work on my social media, grow that, because hopefully I can get more sponsorship in that, because New Zealand is a great place. And at the moment I'm super lucky that I live in New Zealand with all the craziness going on. But the problem with jiu-jitsu and New Zealand is that jiu-jitsu is getting quite big here. So you know, we have some competition, although it's better at white and blue belt, brown belt, it starts thinning out. Like, we have quite a lot of brown and black belts in New Zealand, but the problem is we don't have a lot of younger brown and black belts in New Zealand, so a lot of them don't compete. Start having a bit of a problem. So I try and grow my social media so that hopefully I can get more sponsorship and get money to compete overseas, because especially now that Aurora's competing, it's super expensive for us to travel, especially to the US.
That makes sense. So
it's been training.
Yeah.
And then
so you're sponsored by Hyperfly at the minute, right?
Yes. So Hyperfly New Zealand, they sponsor both Aurora and I. So they sponsor us with all our fight gear and everything. And then they pay for us to enter in competitions, not to travel and all of that. They just pay the entry fee. And I mean, even that is super helpful. You know, I mean, IBJJF, expensive to enter, man. So if I do gi and no gi, you know, it's $120 US. And then my daughter does the same. So, you know, it's quite substantial. I mean, I say they only pay for my, you know, I don't want people to think I think of it like that, because I'm definitely thankful, because even the entry fees for my daughter and I to compete is expensive.
That's right. Yeah. So obviously the growing the social media is really important to you. What other platforms do you use? Are you on YouTube as well?
I do have a YouTube channel, but I mean, it's not very big, and I haven't really done that much. To be honest, man, it goes back to that whole, I don't understand why people even, you know, I find it hard to believe that people want to follow me and stuff. And so whenever I put up technique videos and stuff, I always think to myself, man, I put up stuff that I might specialize in, but, you know, like, I could put up a guard passing video, but the thing is, I'm a brown belt who's won a bronze medal at World Masters. And sure, as a blind person, that's pretty cool. But, man, and on YouTube, you can go and look up, and there's people like Keenan Cornelius, Marcelo Garcia, you know, Bernardo Faria, Tom DeBlas, John Danaher. All these guys are all putting up videos, and they're all way better at jiu-jitsu than I am. So a bit broad if I put up technique videos and stuff on YouTube.
No, dude, I watch some of your videos on YouTube, on your Instagram, and I just, I scroll down your page, and I watch the videos just because of your story, man. It's not all about the jiu-jitsu, you know?
Yeah, but with technique videos and stuff, most people watch it because they want to learn. And I'm not saying that I don't have things that I can offer, but I don't know, it's just something that, and then it's all time as well. Like,
Yeah.
Even doing my Instagram, doing my Facebook stuff, and then training, coaching to take do YouTube videos and stuff as well. It's more time, and to do it, I think I have to invest in some. Because everything that you see on my Instagram is just stuff that's taken off my iPhone.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do YouTube, I probably should invest it. Like, I'm even just from what I've been doing on Instagram and doing like videos where I go live and whatever, I'm already thinking about getting maybe a microphone so that, the sound quality is just a little bit better or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a goal of opening a gym. Me and a friend of mine want to open a gym. We were kind of doing research into it and thinking about the beginning of next year, but because of all this stuff, we're probably going to have to postpone a year, I would think, just because the economy is going to go pretty bad, and so I think maybe waiting a year will be smarter. But I mean, we're not sure yet. We'll talk about it once we get out of lockdown and we see how everything's looking.
That's right.
But
yeah.
once we open the gym, and I think once I'm not so much an athlete, maybe like more coaching, then I'll do more like stuff on YouTube, like actually growing the YouTube content and stuff.
Cool.
But even just being a coach, like, I don't know how those guys like Keenan that do it. They world champion guys, and they still running a school and all of that. See, I coach somewhere, but I don't actually run my school. Like, I don't do the paperwork or anything like that. I'm the head coach there, but it's inside a gym, and we offer the program under the gym, so I don't have to do all that.
Yeah.
So, and so when we open the gym, obviously, I've already I've already kind of resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to have a year of light competing, like no long trips to the US or anything.
Yeah.
Because, I'm going to have to focus on the gym or whatever. It would just be like maybe weekend trips over to Australia to make sure I can keep fighting internationally.
That's right. So when I message you on Instagram, are you able to type or do you use the voice control?
Okay, so Instagram at the moment is having a bit of a problem, but yes, okay, so I'm assuming that you guys can see what I'm doing on video, right?
No, I can't at the minute. No, if you hold it up to the laptop, we should be able to see.
So you can see it. Okay, so here's my iPhone, right? I'll just You guys won't be able to. Everybody thinks this is a strange language, so so that sounds super fun. Another language, right? But
yeah.
Okay. 50%. Okay, so this is 50% speed here. So here's the it's just a normal iPhone, and so like mail, no unread emails, Facebook, 4 new items, Instagram, 11 new items.
Wow.
Messenger, 1 new item. So
that's incredible.
Stephen Mays. Just trying to see. I'm just trying to find something that's Message mail. Oh, here. One day. Hey, click Taylor at Rutherford. I'll just see if your email comes up on my phone because that came up on my iPad. And read Jordan at hyperfly.com.at fuse control. Please join Zoom. Okay, so here's the email you sent me, and so I can read everything that's on the screen here. So obviously I'm. Next message. Previous message. More action. Compose. 2. Text. So then here's the keyboard. I just don't want any like any of my friends' private stuff. But so here's the T F T. So I can do that, and then I can just H S E. So I type and then I space it out. It reads everything out to me, So yeah, I usually type everything. You know, people, I get comments all the time on like Instagram. Oh, how do you use Instagram when you're when you're blind? Well, first of all, I have the screen reader, so all the typing stuff, like if people leave comments, if they get replies from me, which they usually will, because I try to reply to everybody who interacts with me on social media unless they're stupid. That will be me personally. With the photos and stuff, I either ask Aurora or my wife to, like, if I'm not sure what the photo or the video is, just check that it's okay. To make sure. Using Instagram, like looking at other people's posts and stuff, usually I just read the captions or whatever. Obviously I don't see the photos and all of that, but I still go through and like people's stuff and whatever, because you've got to be engaging on your social media platforms.
For sure. Oh man, that's fantastic. I didn't realize that it was you were able to just slide it across and see all the hear all the notifications and that sort of thing. It must have, you know. I bet you're quite fast at doing it now. You turn the speed up as well now, do you?
Yeah, so I listen to it at 100%, which there's two reasons for that. One, because otherwise it would just take too long, and two, what if I'm getting personal messages from my wife? That might be a bit embarrassing.
Amazing.
But no, yeah, I just listen to it fast because it just cuts down on time and that. Man, you know, people ask me, you know, do you regret being blind? And man, to be honest, I tell people I'm so lucky because I'm lucky that I'm blind in this day and age. Man, I have technology. I have an iPhone that I can completely work by myself.
No.
I can use my iPhone to navigate around. Like I use the maps in my iPhone, like how people would use it when they're driving a car, except I set it for walking, and it'll tell me which turn and stuff to take. You know, like I can email people. I can messenger people. I can message them. Like I can communicate. Yeah. Even back when I was at high school in the 90s, there was none of that. I had to use Braille. And what? Was I going to write you a Braille letter and send it to you? Good luck with that, because then you got to try to find someone to... Yeah. The only way for me to communicate with people was to talk on the phone. And that cost a fortune, right? It was so expensive. Right. Now, you know, you got data, and some nights, you know, I'll be like watching Netflix or listening to my book or whatever, and I'll have people from 4 or 5 different countries messaging me, you know, because I've got one of the coolest things about jiu-jitsu, I've met people from all over the world, and they keep in contact, and I'll literally be messaging people from 4 or 5 different countries, and I'm so lucky that I can do that. Like, I just imagine what it would be like being blind in like the 1850s or something. Like, oh my gosh, sure. That would have been cool.
It's like what you say, you know, 30 years ago, what would you have actually done? Sent a braille letter to me to England? It's just it's unheard of. It's incredible. It really is what you're able to do.
No, like, man, with just using my phone, I went from my house to the US by myself.
What? By yourself?
I flew to the US. Not only did I fly to the US, but I got stuck in Hawaii for a night, which I wasn't expecting. So I had to go out of the Hawaii airport, get to a hotel, spend the night in the hotel, get back to the airport the next morning. So, you know,
how did you, what? So you got a taxi to the airport, and then how did you find your way to the right terminal?
Well, I actually got a friend to drop me off, but he dropped me off. I went up to the check-in desk. I gave my passport and that, checked in. I said, you know, excuse me, I'm blind. I've got my cane. Can someone take me to the gate? They guided me through and took me to the gate. I got onto the airplane. I got up at the other end, and, you know, I said, oh, you know, I need someone to show me where to go to get through customs and that. They showed me where to get through and that. Can someone please show me where to get an Uber? When I got an Uber, booked the hotel. Luckily, my phone, I can book places online, book the hotel, went there, and used the maps to get around to restaurants and stuff in Hawaii, got back to my room, got back to the airport, got back on the plane, and went to California and met up with my friend.
Man, the fucking internet, I tell you.
So lucky that I live in this day and age. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way 30 years ago I would have been able to do that. I would have been. I mean, I might have just been able to manage it, but I wouldn't have been able to leave my hotel room in Hawaii. I would have just had to sit in the room all night and do nothing. But I went out and I had dinner, and it was great.
Do you know any blind person that's done that other than yourself?
Any what? Sorry.
Any blind person that's got on a plane to a different country and.
I think there are. I don't know any personally, but I think there are a few. Like, I think there's a blind guy that at the moment is actually traveling the world by himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just can't believe some people. That's incredible. They blow my mind. It really is unreal.
I always think it's funny when people complain to me, "Oh, I found it hard to get to training today." And I'm like, "Bro, just go down and take the bus." Like,
yeah.
Man, sometimes in winter, I'm in full wet weather gear, and I'm down catching the bus, and it's hailing on me. Like, get tough, man. Like,
yeah.
In this day and age, there's not. I mean, if you live in a first world country, there's not really any excuse that people can't get away.
Right? Yeah. I'd love to. I can't wait to show this podcast to some of my friends, because I think it would change the whole perspective on their excuses.
Yeah. I don't know, man. People like to make excuses, but it's just, I don't know, man. I've done some insane stuff in my life, man. Like, I've ridden a motorbike by myself. I've driven a car. I've done reenactment sword fighting with metal swords and fought people in armor. I've done, and people like, Clinton, why do you do these crazy things? My thing when I was younger, before I had my son, my thing was, I'll do anything crazy so long as it doesn't risk other people's lives. Like, like I drove a car, but it was down like at a river, and my brothers made sure there was no one there. I rode a motorbike, same thing. We did it in a big area where we knew there were no other people. And yes, I could have got hurt. I understand that. My family understood that. But man, my life would be so boring if I worried about getting hurt. Because if I worried about getting hurt, I wouldn't leave my house. Because I'd be like, oh crap, what if someone drives into a driveway, pulls out of a driveway, I don't see them, I get run over. Like, man, no. But I put a thing on my Instagram actually just recently, and I said to everybody, what do you think is the craziest thing that happened to me because of my sight? Yeah. And I don't know. And I said the craziest thing that happened to me because of my sight was I got attacked by a tiger.
What?
Yeah. So we went up to this place up in the north of New Zealand where this guy was keeping lions and tigers. It was his own personal collection. And anyway, we're going on the tour and that, and we got to this. Yeah, as you do. It was like people paid to go on tours up at this guy's. I don't know. It was like a farm, but more secure. But we get to this pen where there's these tigers, and he goes, "Oh, just by the way, don't stand over there." And he points, and he's like, "Because there's a hole at the top where the tigers can reach through." Yeah. And stupid Clinton went and stood exactly where he said not to, and turned my back on the cage. Next thing I felt whack, 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 whack around my head, and being slapped around by a tiger. Yeah. And all the people in the tour, they're like, ah! And I'm just standing there, and then it stops slapping me around. And I step forward, and like, why didn't you run away or whatever? I'm like, man, do you know what kittens do when you put your hand there and they play, and then you pull it away? They claw you. He was just slapping you around. It's all right. I don't mind being slapped around. I just don't want to lose my face.
Yeah. Is that the most dangerous thing you've done, probably then?
Oh, I don't know, man. Like, I've done all sorts of crazy stuff. My brothers, man, I had three. I was the oldest of three brothers, and I have a sister as well. But my brothers and I, we were insane, man. Like, we just did crazy stuff. Like, we built bike ramps and jumped up push bikes over them, and of course, I wanted to do that, so I did that. As I said, I've ridden a motorbike by myself more than once too. Like, the first time I rode a motorbike, it was like one of those little scooters that you see, like doesn't go, maybe goes 50 kilometers an hour or whatever, automatic, whatever. But 2 years ago, I was down in Napier for Christmas, and my brothers and that went out to the river with their dirt bikes and stuff, and I got on this big bloody dirt bike, and I mean, that thing wasn't automatic. That had gears and everything. There's a video of that on my Instagram as well, if people are interested. It's
people have got to check this video out. I'm going to leave a link in the description so everyone can check this out. It sounds insane.
Unfortunately, I couldn't. I wasn't going very fast in the video. I wanted to go fast, but the problem was I'd never ridden or driven anything that had gears, and I had to learn how to change gear on the bike, and we only did it for one day, so it wasn't so much the fact that I was worried about going fast or whatever. It's the matter that I just kept stalling the bloody bike, so it pissed me off. But yeah, so there is actually a video of me, and I mean, it looks really slow and terrible in the video, but I did end up going a bit faster than what the video shows. But, I'm riding a motorbike, and, we used to go down to because I lived in Napier for a long time. My grandfather is a commercial fisherman, and we'd go down there and hang out all the time on the boats, and we'd just jump off the wharf, like, 6-7 meters high, just jump off into the ocean. Oh, another crazy one I did. We were in Samoa for a wrestling tournament, and we went on these cool waterfalls that you could slide down. They were called the White Rocks. And while we were there, some island boys turned up, and there was a big cliff, and they were climbing up the cliff and jumping off into the river. And I was like, oh yeah, sweet, I'm going to do that. And I climbed up to where they were before any of the New Zealand team realized what was going to happen. What I didn't realize on the climb up was that the place they were jumping was very specific, and there was a rock in the middle of the river, and the cliff was on a slight angle, so you had to jump out far enough that you didn't hit the cliff, and you had to jump not so far that you landed on this big rock in the middle. And I think, man, I don't know, the cliff was about, I don't know, 7.5 meters high. I don't know, it was high. And I'm up the top, and like, the boys are like telling me, like, oh, you've got to jump, like explaining to me how far to jump and everything. And then all the New Zealand team realized what I was about to do, and they're like, don't do it.
What, they're encouraging you to do it? Did you do it?
The island boys were coaching me to do it. Yeah. I jumped off. And then a few of the other New Zealand guys went up and did it as well. But yeah, I was the first one to do it.
Dude.
I mean, now I try not to be as insane now because I've got 2 kids. So if I kill myself now, it's not just me, it's my kids as well.
Right.
But even then, so long as it's not stupidly dangerous, man, I don't want to be boring and not live my life because I'm fine. That's just pathetic.
That's right.
I don't want to get to the end of my life. At least now, actually, if I got sick and I was to pass away now, the only regrets that I'd have now is that, 1, that my wife would be left alone, and 2, that my kids still aren't growing. Like, I've lived a good life, man. I'm so happy with what I've done because
you should be.
I am crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. So have you got any? You said you have big goals and you've always set big goals. What's your focus in your life now? Have you got any big kind of goals you want to do in the next 5, or even months?
Well, as I said, I want to open a gym and make it competitive. So when I open the gym, I'm going to want it to be a very successful gym.
This will be in New Zealand?
Yeah. So I'll open it in New Zealand, and we'll do that. I still want to compete. It's just that, I don't know what my goals of competing are. I want to compete in interesting places. Like, I haven't done the European Champs, so I want to come over and do the Euros. And I've had quite a lot of people from Europe reach out to me and say, hey, if you're ever in this country, come train with us. So, man, I'd like to get the gym up and running. I'd like to get a decent amount of money and have it so that the gym can run itself. And then come over to, say, Europe and spend, like, 3 months in Europe, like, touring with my wife because she really likes traveling. And she really liked, we went to Hungary in 2013 for the Wrestling World Champs, and we want to go back to Europe. So we'd like to travel around. I'd like to all the people that reach out to me, I'd like to go visit them at their gyms and just meet heaps of different people. I'd like to compete at the European Champs. I want to compete in Brazil at least once because South America is the only continent I haven't competed in.
Right.
So
Amazing.
I've done US, Asia, Europe, and I haven't done South America. I've done Australia, New Zealand. I've done a whole bunch of the islands, but I haven't done South America. So that'd be cool. And my daughter made me make a promise to her that the first year she's eligible for masters, that we'll do that together. So I believe when she's 30 and she can go and do masters 1, I believe I'll be 55. So
Wow.
I can't completely stop retiring until retire from competing until I've kept that promise
Right.
to her.
That's so cool, man. Well, listen,
Yeah,
it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Clinton. For people that want to reach you, obviously they've got you on Instagram at the Blind Grappler. Is there any other channels or social media platforms that they can reach you on?
I'm on Facebook, same thing, Blind Grappler. I've got my athlete page on there. It seems to me now Instagram is the big platform. Unfortunately, I mean, I do get back to everybody. I try to. But if you're messaging me at the moment on Instagram, I told you about this, but I'm having trouble. My screen reader isn't, I don't know. 17. Oh man, it's going slow. I'll show you your message. But here's your one here. Okay, so here's your one here, and it's just being quiet, like it's not reading anything. So I can't read any of my Instagram messages at the moment. So if you're sending me messages on there, don't be insulted. You know, you can get, if you want to like send a personal message and actually have a chat, then maybe do it through my Facebook page at Blind Grappler as well. You can send a message there. I try to get that. As I said, if people are sensible, whatever, if they comment on my posts or if they send me messages, I try to engage. I just wish all those scammer geek places would stop messaging me. Stop messaging me, guys. It's
stop
annoying.
messaging Clinton, man. Yeah.
Yeah, stop messaging. But you know, I enjoy people reaching out, talking to me if they got questions or whatever. Man, even if you're just having a bad time and you need someone to
put your perspective straight.
Yeah, basically. So I'm never gonna be a person like, I don't know. People say to me, or it depends on like what sort of why they're training or whatever. But you know, if someone says to me, "Oh, you know, I don't want to train because of whatever," I'm gonna give you motivation, but it's probably maybe not gonna be the poor you motivation that you think it's gonna be.
100%, bro. 100%, and that's what people need, man, these days.
Yeah.
Bit of tough love.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, there is time for that, but most of the time, people just need a good kick in the ass, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, listen, man. You have a good rest of your day, and we'll keep in touch for sure.
You're just starting your day. I'm gonna go have my dinner, and I'm
of course.
I've been watching Grey's Anatomy on Netflix. So
right, yeah.
I mix in chick stuff with. I just discovered the joys of having a VPN and being able to access US Netflix, because New Zealand Netflix is a bit.
Yeah.
So I've been watching a lot of old movies like Mortal Kombat and stuff, which has been pretty cool.
I mean, the American Netflix is going to have a lot more series than the UK for sure.
Yeah, so if you want to use that, just go and get yourself a VPN and boom, US Netflix.
Boom.
I hardly ever watch TV or anything like that, partly because and if people wonder how I go about watching, Netflix is super awesome. With the older ones, it's not so great, but where it says audio and subtitle options down the bottom of your screen when a thing turns on, go and turn it on and turn on voice description if you want to work it out. It's kind of cool. Also, if you're out there and you're interested in about how my phone works, with my iPhone, it is just a standard iPhone. So if you want to try what I do, because it uses different gestures and stuff, just ask your Siri to turn on voiceover. Just say, Siri, turn on voiceover, and then your phone will talk the exact same way mine does. And then when you want to turn it off, just ask Siri to do it again, because when you turn it on, the gestures and stuff do become a bit different, so you might struggle to use your phone.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I think eventually people will turn to voice control anyway. Like the Alexa, you know, all the Sonos in people's houses now. People are talking to Alexa anyway. So it's only a matter of time when people start to text, like message people over voice.
Yeah, and I mean, I do that sometimes, like especially if it's a longer message or whatever, you know, because my typing is a bit slower than standard people, because I've got to go over each letter and listen to where each one is. I can't just go. So, so sometimes I do use dictation, but you know, I like to know that I can still type and stuff as well. So.
Yeah, awesome,
my spelling's
Hey, your spelling's bad.
Yeah, spelling's really bad, because when I was young, as I said about Braille letters, I was brought up using Braille. And if anybody has seen Braille, it's not, the spelling in Braille is different to print. They have a lot of contractions. So my voice being terrible because of that.
Awesome, bro. Well, enjoy your Netflix night, and we'll be in touch for sure, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. Hopefully I'll make it over to the UK.
Yes.
Actually, there's a brown belt. He might almost be a black belt now, who trains over there in the UK.
Yeah. What's his name?
Oh my gosh, I should remember this. I've watched. If you type in the blind grappler, there's another on YouTube. There's a video that comes up. His coach is Eddie Cohen.
Right.
It comes up on YouTube. He's a big dude, but I've talked to him before as well, and so yeah, there is actually a high level blind guy in the UK doing. I don't think he can as much as I do. I think he mainly trains, but I'm the only crazy guy that wants to fight all the time.
Fuck it, for sure. Awesome, bro. Well, you take care, man.
Great, man. Have a good day.
And you, bro. Night.
See ya.